Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra and this is Market Today, a show where we'll help you understand the closing action on the D Street. It's not really looking good on the last day of the week. 361 points of a loss on the Nifty, 22,889. We've tested 23,000 today and we are now below 22,900, although just a tad bit above the lowest point of the day. But we are down by 1.5% on the Nifty. All the sectors, barring financial services, are down in trade, especially led by sharp cuts that are being seen on metals. 6.7% kind of a cut on a single intraday session as far as the Nifty Metals index is concerned. That's the one that's lost all sheen today. Look at Pharma. 4% kind of cuts can be seen. This is right after Donald Trump has indicated that pharma tariffs could be coming in sooner than expected. Also, real estate is down by 4%. You also have oil and gas that's down by 4%. Then you have IT that's now nearly 3.7%. So nearly 4 indices that are down by over 4%. One of them nearly 7% lower in trade, and that's on the index level that you're looking at. Look at the broader markets. Sharp cuts can be seen. Mid caps down over 3%. Small caps 3.7% of a loss. So it's a broad-based sell-off that you're looking at into the markets, looking very, very ugly. Just a few far between stocks that are holding up. You can look at banks and financial services that posted good and positive business updates are up and about, that are getting on top of the brokerage houses radar, are still up and about. Like a Bajaj Finance, for that instance, holds on to 1.5% gains. It's the top mover in trade right now. Tata Consumer Products, HDFC Bank, Nestle, Apollo Hospitals, these are some of the other stocks that are still holding up in trade at this point in time. But just a handful of stocks, less than 10 stocks that are up by up in the green, but rest all of the Nifty stocks have pulled down. Look at Tata Steel, for instance, from the metal pack. It's all the stocks within the metal pack, IT, autos, that are dragging in trade. Tata Steel is the top loser, 8.9% lower in trade right now. Hindalco, 8% cut. ONGC, 7.5% cut. Tata Motors, 6.5% cut. Cipla, L&T, all of them are on the losing spree. Even the PSU index is down by about 3.3% odd. Let's also pull up the kind of names that we are seeing on the F&O basket today. What's holding up in today's trading session? You can see PNB Housing Finance, Marico, Indigo, Max Healthcare, all of these stocks still up and about as far as the F&O action is concerned. But again, on the lower end, you have names like Hindustan Zinc, 10% of a cut, double-digit cuts on this one from the F&O pack. Then you also have names like Max Healthcare. Then you also have names like Nalco, Vedanta, even Tata Steel and Inox Wind. All of them upwards of 8% cuts can be seen on the F&O space. Let's welcome our guest on board to help us understand what does one make of this sharp cut in the market. Osho Krishan, Senior Research Analyst and Technicals and Derivatives at Angel One, is now with us. Warm welcome, Osho. Good to have you with us. Well, help us understand, and the retail investors that are actually gasping for breath looking at the sharp cuts in the markets, over 1,000 points of a cut on the Sensex. I think nearly 12 lakh crore rupees of market cap has already been taken out in today's trading session. It was not too bad yesterday when the tariffs were announced, but it's actually gone worse today, looking at the 2 days fall, on global front, on US markets, Asian markets. And of course, there are fresh statements coming in from Donald Trump that he's not done and dusted with all the Trump tariff announcements as of yesterday. Today, again, there were 2 more sectors that he announced that will be on the radar soon: pharma and semiconductors, which were not yet touched, but now may be feeling the wrath in the coming days or months. So uncertainty continues to loom large. We've given up 23,000. We slipped below 22,900. What's the sense that you have on the markets?
Very good afternoon, Sakshi. Firstly, thank you for having me at your show. Well, now, yes, today we have seen a very strong sell-off in our market, specifically after what we have seen in last trading session. There has been some kind of stability after the tariff, but today, looking at the global perspective, there has been a very strong sell-off, especially coming from the space like metals, pharma, and IT space. So overall, Nifty is facing a very strong sell-off, and it has retraced approximately 50% of the rally that we have seen from the lows of 22,000. So on Fibonacci retracement, and as per the technical perspective, 22,917 is the 50% retracement for the for Nifty index. So I'm expecting that if there will be continuation on the lower end, and looking at the overall picture that we have, I'm expecting that there can be a aggravated sell-off that can be seen in this space in the coming period because of the sectoral churning. So the next target for Nifty is approximately 200 points lower. 22,700 is a very strong support, which also coincides with the 61% Fibonacci retracement. So I'm expecting that in 1-2 trading session, there can be some kind of stability that we will be gaining, because comparatively with the global peers, domestic markets are on a decent verge, or they are acting maturely as compared to the global market. So I'm expecting that Monday or maybe by Tuesday we can see some kind of stability in Nifty. Now coming to banking space, this being the backbone of economy, this has seen some kind of very strong stability. Bank Nifty index is hovering above the 200, the simple moving average, and on the technical front, it is on a formation. It has made a formation of flat pattern, although the breakout is due and it will be seen only above the zone of 52,000. But I'm expecting that 51,000, 51,200 should provide very strong cushion to this index. And in the coming period, Bank Nifty can see some kind of strong leadership in our market.
Hmm. So that's as far as the overall markets are concerned. Let's get down to the pockets of worry today, Osho. Metals, sharp cuts, 6.7% of a fall on the metals index in just a single day today. What exactly do you foresee here? What is the key reason behind this extreme cut that we are seeing on the metals pack? And of course, many stocks within this space are down by 8, 9, 10% in trade as well. What is it that is leading to metals losing their sheen?
See, overall, in the last 3 trading weeks, there has been some positive development that we have seen in the metal space, metal sector as a whole. But today, in today's trading session, the index itself is approximately 6.5% lower, and all the heavyweight counters like Tata Steel, Hindalco, Hinzik, which you already have mentioned, has seen a very steep correction. So all these complies to the same one perspective of the global concerns related to that can hamper the metal space in the near period. So I'm expecting that there is a possibility of fizzling out these things, concerns in the metal space in the coming period. And once we gain some kind of a stability in this counter, then we can see some buying opportunity coming at certain lower levels, not directly at current levels, but in next 2 to 3 trading session, I expect that there can be some stability coming back in the metal space as a whole. So one can look for buying opportunity patiently for looking after 1 to 2 trading session. If there is a kind of a consolidation, one can look for buying opportunity in the metal counters.
Okay, got that. So this could actually be looked in as a positive opportunity. Let's look at farmers then. And Osho, what would you say on pharma? Remember yesterday this was the space that was really cheering a lot. But today when the announcements came in that it is not going to be let go of when it comes to tariff, so far, India has been charging any pharma imports from the US at 10%. We don't know what Donald Trump is going to do. So far, US has not charged anything on tariffs front from the pharma exports from India. We do not know. So far, the trend has been that everything that has been charged at particular percentage on a country basis has seen half of it come into respective countries from the US. But when it comes to specific sectors, we don't know whether it's going to be 10% flat, whether it's going to be higher or lower at this point in time. But so far, there was zero tariff on pharma, and therefore the announcement has come in as a big dampener. How would you look at pharma story?
See, overall, pharma space is into bit of a speculation that I can say as of now, because yesterday, when it was clear that there has been no tariff in the pharma sectors, all the sectors were seen a very strong upside movement. But again, in today's trading session, the picture has totally reversed. The pharma counter on the verge, or looking at the assumption that there can be some tariff added to the pharma sector, they have been into some kind of pressure. So I am expecting that there can be some kind of a speculative movement that can be seen in pharma sector as a whole, and there can be some strong volatility also. So one should stay sidelines until there is some kind of a decisive authoritative decision that can be seen in the counter, and then one can look for opportunities in the pharma space. Because looking at the recent development, majority of the pharma counters have seen a decent traction, decent buying traction, and in the last 2 trading sessions there has been a lot of volatility. First day it was very strong, second day it is very weak. So one should wait for such volatility to fizzle out, and then look for opportunity on the either side, that whether it will be impacting on a positive note, then one should look for buying opportunity, else vice versa.
Okay, fair point. That's as far as the pharma story goes. Let's look at some of the bright aspects and then we'll come back to what is the pain point as well. Today, we are seeing some moves across banks and financials along FMCG lines as well, some of the stocks that are buzzing. We'll start off with the FMCG counter since they are coming back after a strong haul. Defensive play again playing out. You have Marico among the top movers in the F&O space. Tata Consumer Products as one of the top movers on the Nifty, although the Nestle also is picking up pace as well. What's your approach on such kind of counters on the FMCG pack?
See, overall, I think these kind of movement is basically seen as a sector churning. As of now, as all the sectors are looking very weak, so FMCG, which was already into a sidelines kind of a scenario, now they have started gaining traction. But coming to the technical front, majority of the counters are looking very positive to me. For example, Tata Consumers have seen a very strong breakout at current levels. Marico has seen a very strong consolidation breakout and has also seen positive crossovers among the short-term moving average. So these counters should be, there could be some stock-specific movement in these counters, but again on the higher end, the resistance for majority of the counters is very nearby. So it is always advisable to trail profits and try to book profits at higher levels or trail profits as there is a positive momentum in the counter. Although majority of the counters are looking positive, that has been backed by strong volume. So one can look for momentum buying in these counters at higher levels also.
Okay, fair point. Got that. As far as the FMCG players are concerned, you can keep an eye out on all of those names. Banking and financial next. Today, HDFC Bank, Bajaj Finance are truly bucking the trend. These spaces have been, of course, in focus over the last 1.5 months of recovery that's going on in the banking and the financial space. Now, their business update that has come in for Q4 is also encouraging higher deposits growth, higher advances, pointing out to be a brighter earnings quarter ahead. What exactly would you really look for in the banks and financials? Your top bets there?
See, from financial space, majority of the counters are looking very positive, and as you have mentioned that this is the only space which has cushioned, which has provided some kind of cushioning to the market. The positive sentiments that we are seeing in today's trading session has been coming from financial and some of the banking space also. So from the banking space, HDFC, yes, definitely it has seen a very strong movement in today's trading session, and also it is hovering above the short-term moving averages also. So I'm expecting that in the coming period, there is a possibility of this counter retesting the zone of 1860 to 1880, while on the lower end, 1780 is a very strong support zone for HDFC Bank. And from financial space, I expect that there can be strong momentum across the sector, but MFSL will be my preferred pick from this counter because it has seen a flat pattern breakout. So MFSL can be seen as a buying recommendation also at current levels, keeping a stop loss of approximately 1120, and I am expecting a target of nearly 1200 to 1220 in a short term perspective.
Okay, fair point. Let's actually look a little deeper to find out what else is looking interesting in this market. Within the broader markets, we have some names within the textile space that's buzzing. Any suggestion here? Would you go for a VIP clothing or a Gokul Das Exports or maybe Vardhaman Textiles at this point in time? A lot of focus is coming back on this space after a long haul.
Yes, definitely. All these counters were facing some kind of sell-off in the from past 3 to 4 months. But with the news of tariff, there has been some kind of positive traction coming from the last trading session. So I'm expecting that there is a possibility of regaining some kind of a strength in these counters. So I'm expecting, looking at the technical perspective, that VIP is looking positive, and on the higher end, I'm expecting approximately a target of nearly 40 to 42 kind of a zone in the short term perspective, while on the lower end the support has been surged higher and it has made a double bottom breakout. So approximately 31 to 32 is a very strong support for now, and approximately 40 to 42 kind of a target can be seen in this counter in the coming period.
Okay, fair point. So that's as far as the textile space goes. But let's again look at some of the pain points emerging in the markets. IT sector is something that I'm looking at, 3.5% lower. When we look at the key pain points here, especially on the losers side, you will be able to find a whole host of names. Coforge is down 7.5%, Emphasis down 6%, LTI Mindtree 4.5% lower, Persistent down 4%, Wipro, Tech Mahindra, HCL Tech, Infosys 2 to 3% of losses for even the large cap names here. IT sector clearly is seeing all that pressure from Trump's tariff talk, what it could do, though there is no direct impact. Many viewers are questioning that when there is no direct impact, then why are IT stocks falling? Well, the key reason is that IT industry in India has a huge exposure of business in the US, and earlier, the stocks were recovering in hopes that with the change in presidency, with Donald Trump coming in, businesses will get a lot of leeway to pump in more money, and there could be, good news coming in for the IT sector. Now, when the Trump tariff talk is emerging, there is again fear of slowdown and recession, and therefore businesses may again relook at whether they should loosen their purse strings immediately or should they be very cautious at this point in time, and that's what is probably putting down some weights on IT sector. Osho, if I have to ask you, is IT, bringing us an opportunity to buy in on these dips, or is it probably cautioning us that the worst could be ahead of us rather than behind?
See, overall, I have a kind of a sector or stock specific view from the IT space, because
Okay.
major of the counters are definitely looking very weak to me as of now. Especially the heavyweight counters are looking very weak, and I am expecting that with the kind of a momentum that has been seen in the recent period, there is a possibility of further correction in majority of the heavyweights like Infosys and TCS. So these counters are looking weak, and I am expecting that in the coming period there is a possibility of another 3 to 4% kind of a correction. Although these kind of correction are now seen on a day-to-day wise, so obviously there is a kind of a correction that can be seen in majority of the counters, but some of the counters are again hovering at a support zone, and I'm expecting that until there is a continued or aggravated sell-off across the globe on the IT space, then only we can see some kind of a sell-off to be continued. For example, Emphasis is at a kind of a support zone near about 2200, 2150 is a very strong support zone for Emphasis. So some counters are looking good to start accumulating at these levels, while some of the counters still has room to see some kind of a correction in the coming period. So one should need to have a stock specific approach when talking about IT space, but overall the whole space is looking very weak, and I am expecting that there is a sectoral churning that is being seen in the space. So majority of the counters, majority of the players are exiting from the IT counters and are switching to some of the PSU banks or PSU backed companies for the time. So there can be some kind of a persistent selling in these companies, but I'm expecting that once all these things get stabilized, then we can look for buying opportunity, not for now.
Okay, got that. So that's as far as how the IT sector and the expectation on that one goes at this point. Let's look at some of the other pockets. Small caps and mid caps are also going through a havoc at this point in time. Over 3.5% cut for the small cap index. Let's actually look at the top losers. Hindustan Copper, again that metal story going. Angel One is 7% lower. Laurus Labs is 7% lower. Welspun Living is lower. Nugent Software, PG Electroplast, Keynes Technologies, First Solutions, BEML, PVR Inox. There are so many stocks that are up over, down over 5%, 6% odd. So it is definitely a broad-based sell-off. A lot of weakness that can be seen on the small caps. Let's also look at the mid-cap names, which are actually facing the wrath of Trump tariffs. Nalco, Bharat Forge, you have Mazagon Dock Shipyard. So all the defense names which were somehow recovering are again down. But of course, there is this OFS impact on Mazagon as well. Sona BLW Precision, KPIT Technologies, a lot of those pharma names that were rallying yesterday, Lupin Oro, all of them are down in trade. In the broader markets, Osho, if I have to ask you, are you finding any opportunities with this sharp cut, 8, 9, 10% odd in today's trading session? Should one really look at this as an opportunity within the broader markets, or could there be more pain ahead?
See, I think from my perspective, majority of the pain has been already factored in that the fall that we have seen in Indian equity market. Because in the last last couple of trading sessions, our market have seen some kind of a maturity as compared to the global market. So there is definitely a kind of a sell-off pressure or panic selling that can be seen ahead of the weekend. So majority of the players are exiting their positions ahead of the weekend. But I'm expecting that the worst has already been taken hit off. So there is no one should not be very much worried about our overall the benchmark index, but there can be a possibility of start accumulating many of the counters at current levels. But definitely there has been some kind of a sectoral rotation that is being seen. So one should not be looking for those counters which in past has given very positive returns, and with the anticipation that the same counter can provide very strong momentum in the coming period. So one should look from a perspective where one can look for the sectorals which have interchanged their position. So now those counters which has not performed well but are anticipated to perform, so one should look for those opportunities. For me, I am expecting that financials, banking are looking positive to me, and even IT space not present, not at current levels, but in the coming duration, it can also provide very strong opportunity to for investment perspective.
Okay, got that. So that's the overall space. Let's actually look at some of the interesting, points that we can actually find out in the market. Are there any 52-week highs? There are just about 3 companies. Gallant Ispat is at a 52-week high despite the sharp cut in the market. Kaveri Seed Company, that's 11% higher at 1475. That one is at a 52-week high. Even in this week setup, you also have JSW Holdings, that's also up and about 26,115 can be seen. It's at a 52-week high as well. What are the stocks on 52-week lows? Jindal Stainless. You have Punjab and Sindh Bank. You have Sona BLW at a 52-week low. You also have KEI Industries at a 52-week low. Then you have KPIT Technologies at 1137, 6% lower at a 52-week low. All of these stocks are at a 52-week low. But I think what's standing out is Kaveri Seeds Company. Any suggestion on this agri-focused company?
See, KCL has seen a kind of a strong breakout from the zone of 1200, and again in the last 3 trading session after retesting the neckline of breakout, the counter has again seen kind of a 300 point of rally. So at current levels, if someone is already holding the position, one should stay invested with a stop loss of nearly 1380 to 1400 kind of a zone. But if someone wants to accumulate this counter at current levels, I will advise to wait for some time. Once if there will be any kind of profit booking seen in this counter and the counter turns back towards the zone of 1350, 1300 kind of a zone, then one can look for buying opportunity. Overall, the technical perspective is looking very positive, but again the counter has been into the overbought zone, so one should not be very much aggressive and start buying at higher or elevated levels as of now. So wait for some kind of profit booking for fresh accumulation in the counter.
Okay. Any BTST, STBT trades, Osho, that you'd like to highlight for our viewers?
Yes, I have multiple counters which are looking very positive to me. First one is Bharti Airtel. Bharti Airtel is on a verge of giving a fresh breakout. It has not given the breakout yet, but it is on a verge of giving a breakout. So I'm expecting that there is a high potential for this counter to give a strong breakout, and I am expecting a target of nearly 1800 to 1820 kind of a zone from 1 to 2 days kind of a time perspective, while 1710 should be kept as a very strong stop loss for the counter. The other counter which has seen a very strong momentum in today's trading session is MFSL. So MFSL can be seen as a buying opportunity at current levels. 1120 should be seen as a stop loss, and on the higher end 1200 will be the immediate target as BTST for MFSL.
Okay, and in the end now, Osho, help us understand how do we prep for the new week coming in. We'll be getting into a weekend. Tonight's, reaction on US markets will be important to be seen. But we've tested important levels today on the lower end. Where do we go from here? Do you believe one has to brace up for some more shocks on the markets? What is the maximum downside that you see from here in case shocks persist?
See, overall for Nifty, I expect that there can be some continuation on the selling perspective. So I'm expecting that the 61% retracement, which is 22,700, should now be cushioning the counter because of the sectoral churning that is being seen in the overall space. So Nifty 50 is having a very strong support of 22,700, and I have a same approach, buy on the dip. So if there will be any kind of dip towards 22,700, one should look for buying opportunity, and on the higher end 23,300 is the resistance for Nifty. So one should become aggressive only once it breaches the zone of 23,300 on a closing manner. Whereas for Bank Nifty, I am having quite a bullish approach. 51,200 to 51,000 is a support zone, and where one should try to look for buying opportunity. On the higher end, 51,900 to 52,000 is a resistance. So one should try to book their profits around the zone of 52,000. But if there will be any kind of a decisive surpassing beyond 52,000, then we can see a very strong momentum in the coming period, because that will be a confirmation of flag pattern breakout, so which will be having a higher target. So one can definitely look for buying opportunity from a positional point of view above 52,000 kind of a zone.
Okay, Nifty Bank on a bullish set, but the Nifty could actually continue on the sell side at this point in time, especially on the Nifty Bank. If you look just towards the fag end, you did see that recovery happening. It's much better off than the Nifty, 0.2% of a loss, although there has been a lot of choppiness throughout, but the Nifty definitely is on a weaker zone, although we may just end above that 22,900 after having tested that on an intraday basis. 342 points cut on the Nifty at this point in time. Thank you so much, Osho, for being with us on the show today and helping us navigate through all these uncertainties and helping us identify both on the buy and the sell side the opportunities that exist for the investors. Let's start wrapping up the markets now, viewers. The Nifty at 22,905. 1.5% lower in trade. There's an over 350 point of a cut on the Nifty. The Nifty Bank is better off. It's recovered from the day's lower tad bit, and you can see a 0.2% of cut there, 51,500. There's almost 100 points cut. On the sectors, metals were the weakest link today, almost 7% being cut on the metals index. Look at the kind of sharp fall that we've seen, and all that sheen getting wiped off. You can see 6.5% of a cut on the metals index. Pharma, with that fresh concerns of tariff coming in, 4% of a cut. It's wiped out all the gains of yesterday. Remember, it was over 4% kind of gains that you had seen Pharma index rallying yesterday, bucking the trend when the entire market was in fear of Trump tariffs. But today, it's given up all of those gains of yesterday with that fresh concerns of tariffs emerging. Oil and gas, 3.7% lower. You can also see the small caps down 3.5%. Realty, IT, 3% cuts for this one as well. Even the media stocks are down nearly 3%. Midcaps down by nearly 3%. So consumer durables 2.7% lower. Infra, auto, PSU banks. Only financial services led by Bajaj Finance and FMCG led largely by, say, a Nestle or a Tata Consumer Products that holds on and therefore has managed to buck the trend on the overall markets. India Wix up 0.7% at 13.7. Top movers on the Nifty today. Bajaj Finance remains the top mover, 1.7% higher. Tata Consumer Products, HDFC Bank, Apollo Hospitals and Nestle are the top 5 movers on the Nifty from the top 8 or 9 movers that you have on the positive side today. On the lower end, a lot of names that are reeling under pressure: Tata Steel, Hindalco, ONGC, Tata Motors, Cipla, L&T, all of them reeling under sharp cuts. PSU stocks, IOC down in trade, HPCL, NHPC, Power Grid, all of them down in trade. Sharp cuts, although on NMDC, Oil India, ONGC, REC, GAIL, these are the counters which are in sharp cuts. In the F&O pack also, if you see, Hindustan Zinc, Hindustan Copper, Nalco, Vedanta, Tata Steel, all 5 top losers are from the metals pack in the F&O space. But what is in the winning zone? PNB Housing Finance, Marico, for instance, Interglobe Aviation and Bajaj Finance. Those are the top 5 names on the higher side as far as the F&O stocks are concerned. So that's the overall picture of the markets. The markets have 330 frozen at 22,915. So the good part is that we slipped below 22,900, tested those intraday lows, and we came back tad bit. This is giving us some hopes that the bulls don't want to leave the ground as of yet. Although Osho does say that since we have been seeing extreme selling pressure, and this also has largely to do with what the global setup is, it may continue to be under some more pressure, but it's the Nifty Bank that could actually bounce back, and that's where the opportunities for traders could exist at this point in time. He also shared about the BTST calls right there and the outlook for the next week. Hopefully, after 2 days of a rout on the stock markets globally, we may see some sanity return to the US markets tonight, and we also expect if things turn out to be a tad bit better, we will be able to see how Monday's opening is really seen for the Indian markets and for the Asian markets at large as well. Let's wrap it up at that, viewers. Many thanks for being with us on this special broadcast, but do stay tuned on to Business Today Television. Even as we wrap up the markets for the week, remember this has been a very, very challenging and week which has really dealt heavy blows to the Indian investors by way of change in policies globally. But as we move forward into the next week, we will be inching closer to the earnings season, and that will be the next big global domestic trigger that the markets will be looking at. Wrapping up at that, do stay tuned on to Business Today Television. There's a lot more that will come up on your screens even beyond the stock market hours.
President Donald Trump has fired his biggest